Greetings. Yes, I'm looking a little scruffy because I didn't get a chance to go to the barber yesterday. So I'm working on it. Anyway, I'm starting this off by mentioning that we had a meteor yesterday. It didn't land anywhere. There's no debris that anyone can find. And it looks like we had a meteor in our area that basically hit the atmosphere and exploded. And it was heard for a pretty wide range, but it hit in our area. Supposedly, it was heard someplace in Virginia. It was heard in Canada. It was heard in Chicago. And in Toronto, they actually had some kind of thing that they call the Earth Cam, which saw the light flash. So there you go. And you would think that having a meteor would be the most extraordinary thing that our area would get. And it's up there, but it ain't the most extraordinary. For decades, we were considered the #1 snowiest city in the nation. Now, supposedly, a couple of cities have passed us because the last few years haven't been all that snowy. There's been places that have had bigger storms, and they've had more snow than us. But we still get our fair amount. And I want to talk about 2004. Actually the 2003-2004 season, and something that I did. I wrote a blog post the other day on my regular blog where I talked about my Keys to Leadership series. Basically, I gave some seminars talking about leadership, and they went off okay. They weren't attended well, and the reason they weren't attended well is because of the snow. Now, most of y'all have probably never seen tons of snow, but I'm kind of used to it. I lived 4.5 years in a place called Limestone, Maine, where we regularly got a ton of blizzards. As a matter of fact, we had lightning storms, thunder and lightning storms during some blizzards. So that's interesting. Obviously I live here that gets a lot of snow, but I went to college in a place called Oswego. Oswego regularly averages between 299 and 350 inches of snow a year. And if you think that's something, we got a place called Tug Hill that averages close to 500 inches of snow a year. Yep, you heard that right. They've been known to get, 3 feet of snow a day quite often. So there you go. Snow is our big thing. And anyway, I wanted to do this leadership series, and I picked January to do it. January 2004. And it was just one of those kind of things that popped in my mind and said, you know what, I want to do these live. I found a place to do them live. I advertised it. And being stupid, because I have to say that, I keep forgetting that we don't have regular winters most of the time. So I was going to do 3 different seminars over the course of 3 weeks. And the first week, because every day was going to be a Wednesday, the first week, the temperature dropped to 15 below zero, and it snowed basically 3-4 days before I gave the seminar. I still had some people who showed up, so that was pretty cool. But there was a lot of snow. It made driving difficult. It made parking difficult. But, we're kind of a hardy group, so we usually don't let stuff like that totally affect us. But this was evening, and of course you had some people in the city who had trouble getting anywhere. So it wasn't overly populated, but people came. And that was something else. Oh, by the way, this was also the year where we had 44 straight days of snow, just to help highlight this. So that was the first week. The second week, we had to cancel basically because they had to shut down all the highways. We had so much snow that they shut down the highways, which meant they shut down all the major roads. It was hard for people to get around. 2 people showed up. I wasn't going to stand in front and give a presentation to 2 people, so we didn't record it that day. I sat down and talked with the people, and that was kind of neat. We did pretty well with that. Then we had the third week, and this is during that period where we had the 44 days in a row. So it was still snowing kind of heavy. It had started to lay off, but there was so much snow that was built up everywhere that the place I was having it had plows move snow around, but they really didn't have a lot of places to put it. So there were between 9 and 11-foot walls of snow that they moved around as much as they possibly could. Parking was difficult. Forget the driving part. Parking was difficult. I still had 4 people show up. I went ahead and did it, and it came off okay. But it was just one of those kind of things where you sit back and say, why the devil did I think about doing this in January? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because, like I said, we have these weird things. And by the way, that year we had 182 inches of snow, and that's not our record, just to throw that out there. But I'm going to tell you why. A lot of times people want to wait around for the best time to do something. I understand that, but there's a lot of people who never start anything because they're saying, well, I don't know if the time is right yet. I don't know if I'm ready. I need to be more ready. I need to get more money. I need to create more stuff. And, if you're always waiting for that perfect time to do something, it may never come. And you may never do it, and you're going to wonder years later, why didn't I just go ahead and do it? That was my thinking when I did it. My thought was, hey, I will have the entire audience to myself. Nobody else is going to be putting anything on here. And by the way, I planned it like 3 weeks out. So I had been advertising. I had advertising in the business newspaper, had advertising in a regular newspaper. I had, I was a member of the Liverpool Chamber at the time. I was a member of the Syracuse City Chamber at the time. So I had just really been, publicizing this thing. And this just happened to be the year that the snow decided to kick our behinds. It's just how it is here. Anyway, I went ahead and I did it. And what I ended up with was a product. Back then, I had someone who filmed it for me using my camera. And I was able to convert that later on into MP3 files. This is before we all really had true MP3 players. So what I did is I was able to create it into an MP3 file, and then I burned it to a CD. So I initially was selling them as just CDs. I put pictures on 2 of them. Like I said, I wasn't able to do the 3rd one, and I just said, you know what, that's karma telling me you ain't doing that one. But it gave me a product. And luckily, in a weird way, that happens to be a product that in its own way is timeless, because the concepts of leadership don't really change. Certain things do here and there, but in general, the general concepts of good leadership, especially when you have stories associated with them, are still good. So, I say that because there's a lot of people I know who say, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. And you just want to say, so do it. Oh, well, I can't because of this. I can't because of that. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what, today's the day I'm going to take that chance and do something. Now, don't do something that goes against your principles. Don't do something that goes against your fears all that much. I'm still not getting in a pool. I haven't been in a pool since 1976. I don't know how to swim. I'm not getting in any water I can't control. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about your dreams or your goals. I'm not saying to quit your job and go off and do something, but put the plans into it and put the feelers out. There's nothing saying you can't market something before you leave a job. Anyway, that's my story. My name is Mitch Mitchell. Let me know your thoughts on this. I hope you all have a wonderful week.